Only till I took things to the next level and started doing more porn and these kind of events, that's when they don't quite support me doing these events.
My heart is broken for this young lady and those like her. There is some really, really terrible stuff happening in the world today. And some people are so blind they have no idea how bad it really is. Let's take a look at this video. We're going to walk through some of the things that I see. I pray that this opens some people's eyes.
Background to you. You've said you had a picture-perfect childhood, you've got amazing parents, you've had a very happy upbringing.
Yeah. So my parents are both together. I have one older brother, and we just had the perfect upbringing in like a little village. No kind of past trauma or anything like that. My parents raised us perfectly. Just honestly, it was perfect.
So picture perfect childhood. She's going to talk about what it was like. Let's see if you agree. See if you can catch on to any of the things that maybe you might do different than what was done to this lovely young lady.
You say your parents are really supportive of what you do, and people just don't believe you when you say that.
Yeah, so they thought, kind of, why not? It was only till I took things to the next level and started doing more porn and these kind of events, that's when they don't quite support me doing these events, but they support me and they'll always love me and have my back. That's kind of how I describe it.
Why do you think it is that people don't believe her when she says that her parents support what she does? You know that there's something wrong with what she's doing, and her parents know it, and other people know it, but for some reason she's not seeing it.
And when you say they don't support you doing these events, what events are you talking about?
So I do big sex events where the members of public can come to and join in. So I have sex with quite a lot of gentlemen or women. And yeah, these events obviously for all ages above 18, for anyone to kind of show up.
And can you explain why they don't support that?
I think they just don't find it necessary. It's not something they would have chosen for me to do. I don't think any parent wakes up and goes, oh, I want my kid to be a porn star when they're older. But they understand that it makes me happy. So they, and also they understand that I am an adult and a woman and I can choose to do what I want.
She says it's because her parents don't see it as being necessary. And my question is, do they really think that any of what she's doing is necessary? She says it's because it makes her happy and they want her to be happy. But at the sacrifice of what? Is our happiness really worth the sacrifice that this girl is making with her life?
Your generation, Gen Z, has grown up with pornography being easily available on smartphones. How do you think that has influenced you?
Honestly, I probably watched pornography first when I was maybe 11. And so I've always known about it. I've always knew it was a thing. And I always thought it was very normal to watch. And I personally don't think pornography is a bad thing in moderation. I just think it's when younger adults have a lot of access to it, that's when it does become a problem.
I say this with nothing but love for this young lady. She's wrong. She believes there's nothing wrong with pornography, but there's statistics to tell us otherwise. And we know that when we watch things that entice us, it turns the people into an object. And so, for example, you're watching a girl do what she's doing or a guy do what he's doing, and all you're thinking about is the pleasure that you're getting from that instance, and it dehumanizes people. And now these created wonderfully and fearfully made beings by an eternal creator turn into objects to be played with and toyed with and to be thrown away and to be unloved. And we have research from mentalhealth.com in 2025, Utah State University, that pornography is harmful to the nuclear family, harmful to marriages, harmful to relationships. There is, in fact, no data anywhere that supports pornography having a positive benefit to what we know is right and true and good in the family.
But if you started watching it at 11,
Yeah.
I mean, that is so young.
Yeah.
Can you describe how it has influenced you and your brain and your outlook on sex?
You know what? It actually made me really sex confident and learn a lot of things. I mean, that's mostly how I learned through pornography. And I do think it has a positive effect on me, just in terms of like understanding things a little bit more.
Right.
It's amazing how often I hear this, that the pornography in a person's life starts out when they're very young. In some cases, 3, 4, 5 years old. And in her case, 11 years old. She says that it helped her, that it had a positive benefit, that it made her feel more confident. Well, what she calls confident, I would call desensitized. What she says is benefit, I would say perverted. She's learning what sexuality is in a perverted way.
But as we know, what we see in pornography online can be extreme. Is not normal.
It depends what type of pornography you're watching. That's what I would say.
Okay.
See, that's the lie. It doesn't matter what kind of pornography it is. It all is bad. One leads to the next, then to the next, then to the next. And it all has the same lasting effect. But you can be redeemed from that too. You have to make the choice.
When you look back and reflect on the fact that you had access to this pornography and were looking at it from the age of 11, and not just you, any Gen Z who's got a smartphone, does that suggest to you that maybe your generation has been let down by politicians or the tech companies or even parents?
I think it's hard because sex is a part of life, and I don't.
But
think
not when you're 11.
But I think you should be learning from it from that age. I do believe that, because that's when you start to think about things like that.
But learning
Maybe not
via
learning.
pornography?
Yeah, maybe not learning from pornography.
And here we are. Even she knows it's wrong. She knows that it wasn't okay. A minute ago, she said it was, and she justified it. And that's what she's doing in her life. She's justifying her sin and making it okay in her mind and in her heart so she can keep doing what she wants to do.
But I do think understanding it more from that age would be helpful.
Is there a direct link between you watching pornography as you grew up and the decisions you've made to do what you do now?
I think maybe. I mean, I don't know a life without pornography, so maybe.
The sweet girl says maybe, and I say positively. If that hadn't happened, if she wouldn't have been exposed and desensitized, this wouldn't have been something she would have chosen to do likely. It's definitely more likely that people that are exposed to this when they're young will do this when they're older.
Billie Eilish is the same age as you. She says she started watching pornography at 11. You've just
really?
told us the same age. She says it destroyed her brain. Could it have destroyed yours?
I think it really depends on how frequent you're watching it. I see people nowadays who watch too much too soon and they become very desensitized to it, and that means then they have to watch more and more extreme stuff. I personally wasn't like that. I didn't watch it often enough at all. So I don't think it's destroyed me personally, but I do believe it's destroyed people my age, 100%.
See, we can look at this from the outside and we can see that it has done damage to her just like it has to other people. She's just not willing to admit that the damage that's been done to her is the same.
Can I ask, do you see yourself as a feminist?
I do, yes, yeah.
In what way?
Well, obviously, a feminist means you want equality between men and women. And that is honestly what I'm striving for. I mean, it shows me just being in this industry how we don't have that yet. And that is something I'd love to get to.
See, this is a common misconception in the world as well. Feminism, something that's pro-woman, isn't something that's going to degrade them in the eyes of men. Pornography in and of itself is anti-feminist. It's not good for women. See, what she's doing is actually objectifying women, turning them into something that men don't respect.
A lot of feminists, not all, but some, are anti-pornography. They argue that pornography is the antithesis of feminism. Let me give you a couple of quotes. Pornography is part of the marketing of prostitution. Germaine Greer said that. Gloria Steinem said, pornography has nothing to do with sex, with love, with erotica. It is violence. Are they wrong? And if so, why?
I think what people don't realise is there's so much different kinds of porn. There is the porn I make where it's with average guys. It's very normal sex, you know. I set my phone up in the corner of the room and proceed to have sex with a guy, and it's as if the camera isn't there. And I would like to say that that is relatable, and, you know, that's not something that would damage your brain, because that is the kind of sex that two people would have. Whereas obviously there's the more like rough kind. It really depends. And I think feminists, when they're talking about pornography, they tend to just talk about this really degrading type of porn.
Two incredible points here from world-renowned feminists. Pornography is equated with prostitution and violence. See, what is happening is these girls are making money from their bodies. They say, well, I'm not out on a street corner, so I'm not a prostitute. But you're selling your body, the images of, the videos of your body, to make money. That's prostitution, no matter how you want to sugarcoat it. And violence doesn't mean violent pornography like what you're talking about here. The violence that we're talking about is the degradation of the humanity of the people involved.
You are famous for having sex with 101 men in a day. It was documented in a YouTube film, which has had 10 million views. And we, for those who haven't seen it, we literally see a queue of men, complete strangers, waiting to go into a bedroom to have sex with you for an allotted 5 minutes. We don't see their faces because they don't want to be on camera. And when we hear the voice of one or two, their voices have been disguised because they don't want to be identified.
Yeah.
You've been asked many times why you did it. You say it's because you enjoy it, and you've explained today that why you do what you do. What do you think of those men who turned up that day?
I think of them as equal guys like me who are also enjoy sex and honestly just wanted to have a good time.
See, that's the thing. They're not guys like her. She's a her. And we handle things differently. And even these guys were ashamed of what they were doing. That's why they were hiding themselves.
They're obviously sons, brothers, boyfriends. Like, is it okay for them to turn up that day?
I would say as long as they're not cheating on their partner, then yeah.
And what do you think of those guys? What were they like?
A lot of them were lovely, honestly. Just very, very regular guys. We had lawyers, we had policemen, we had, people flying from Sweden, Eurostar from France, a couple from America. Like, they were just bang average guys.
And if your older brother or your dad turned up to be one of those 101 men to have sex with someone like you, what would you think of them?
If they're single, it's their own free will to have sex with who they like, and all power to them.
See, she's right. It is their free will, and it's her free will. You can exercise that, and you can do these things. But that doesn't take away the damage that it does. It doesn't take away the objectification. It doesn't take away the degradation, the lack of respect, the lack of love, the lack of kindness that comes as a result.
And why do you think they all wanted to be anonymous?
I believe it's because a lot of them had jobs and family that they wouldn't want to find out that they do this. And I think that's totally fair.
Sure, she thinks it's totally fair. But what she's not looking at is why. Why would the world look at what they're doing and be ashamed of them? Why do they feel guilty? Why do they feel like they have to hide it? It's because it's wrong, and we all know it's wrong. Everybody has a sense of what's right and wrong. It's just whether or not they choose to ignore it.
Do you respect those men?
I do. I see them as regular men wanting to have a good time. I don't think too much deeply into who they are.
And here's a big part of the problem. Most of the world has no idea what it means to respect someone, to hold someone with esteem, honor, favor. None of these guys are favored. That's what a wife does for her husband. She favors him. She honors him. She holds him in high regard. This lovely young lady who's so embedded in pornography, she said herself, they're all just normal guys. They're equal with her. There's no honor there. There's no respect there. For good reason. Why should she respect these guys? And why should they respect her? Well, doesn't make it right, but there's no one earning respect here. That's the only point I'm trying to make.
Do you think they respected you?
I think a lot of them did. Not necessarily all of them, but yeah.
And how did you know that the ones who didn't necessarily respect you didn't?
I think some of them disrespected my choice to have a time limit on our sex. And that was when I thought, you know, you're not respecting this, that this is, for me, these are the rules, you know, we have sex for this amount of time, we film it, and those are the kind of rules. And that's when I thought, you know, maybe a couple of them are disrespecting me.
Honestly, what she's describing doesn't sound at all like disrespect to me. It sounds like something far more insidious. When a woman says no, it's no. When she says stop, it's stop. You and I both know what it is when men don't respect that. That's incredibly horrible.
Most of the reaction to what you did that day has been revulsion and also a lot of sympathy towards you. Let me read you some of the comments underneath the YouTube film. This is the best anti-porn film I've ever seen. This is self-harm, and I've never felt more protective over a stranger in my life. What did you make of the reaction to it?
Obviously, I really appreciate everyone's sympathy. I just wish we could have put that energy into someone who needed it. You know, I really don't need the sympathy or the heartache or people being worried about me just because this is something I chose to do and this is my job, and it really is my choice, and I'm not being abused or made to do this or forced into it or anything like that.
A clip from that film of you crying after finishing having sex with all those men has been viewed millions of times on different platforms.
Great.
Why'd you say great?
Just because I'm an ugly crier.
Oh, gosh.
Of course that part goes viral.
I've got the clip here. I'm going to ask you to watch it and then I'll ask you about it.
It's kind of like being a pro in a sense of like, it's just a different feeling. I don't know how to explain it, like...
It's not like just having sex with someone.
Yeah. Just one in, one out, like it feels intense.
Like more intense than you thought it might.
Definitely.
Sorry. Okay. Okay. Just take
Yeah, 1 minute.
Do you see what's happening here? Even a girl that's this desensitized is still affected by what's happening. Every time that we join with someone else, a little piece of us stays with them. What she's feeling, that's who she is, being ripped apart one tiny little piece at a time every time that she joins with that next man. God created this for the sanctity of marriage, that the two would become one flesh. There's a spiritual connection in the sexuality. That's what the world is missing, and that's what this girl is so incredibly, deeply damaged and hurt by.
How does it make you feel watching it back?
You know, I just hate the sound of my own voice.
But it's really upsetting. You were really upset.
Yeah, It was an interesting day. It wasn't exactly what I planned or thought it to be, and I think I really prepared for it. And I just think there's stuff I would have done so much differently next time. It took so much longer than I thought. I was having sex for 14 hours straight. It was just exhausting and not what I thought it was going to be in my head.
What did you think it was going to be like in your head then?
You know what? I'd done 37 guys like a month before or a couple of weeks before, and that was just bliss. Like, I just had so much fun. But the difference is they all went together. We had a group of 23 guys and I did them all together. And that was just like, the energy was so much better. The guys were really respectful of each other. Like, the energy was just so much different. I think it was just the guys and how they spoke to me and things like that. And I just thought it was going to be a lot easier.
But I'm just going to pause for a moment because you just say this so normally, like this is your world, but you just said, you know, a month earlier I did 37 guys and we had so much fun and it was bliss. Like, wow, God, like, is that normal?
It's weird because
It's not normal.
no, it really is normal in my world.
Hand on heart, look me in the eye. Can you tell me that day and what happened that day and what you did that day and what those men did that day was genuinely empowering for you?
I think that day was slightly different. My other events, I felt extremely empowered in. My needs were so fulfilled. That day, not so much.
Isn't that truly how sin normally works? When you do it and you're seemingly gratified, the next time you've got to do more. She's feeling that. She one-upped herself. Well, a lot more than one-upped herself. And she's paying the price.
Once you make the decision to make money from doing what you do, don't you inevitably end up having to do more and more extreme stuff in order to drive those subscribers to your OnlyFans, in order to keep making the six-figure sum every month?
I think everyone in their line of work feels like that, like they have to keep doing more, especially people on social media, YouTubers, they feel like they have to keep pushing out more, bigger videos, better videos. And I just think that is the reality of this kind of world. It's consumption, you know?
Do you remember at the beginning of the video? She said that it doesn't have to be this way. That it doesn't have to get worse and worse. That it doesn't have to continually to get more severe. And she says it's just because of consumption. Well, tuberculosis is also called consumption. It's not a good thing. See, and that's just the way sin is. A little bit leads to more, leads to more, leads to more. And she knew it. She knew it at the beginning of the video. She knows it now. But now you're hearing her say it out loud.
You get masses of hate comments. You've said you are screamed at in the street. What kind of abuse do you get?
All kinds. I'm disgusting, I'm dirty. I've had like every comment underneath the sun. I mean, I can show you a few of just like a little bit of the
If
hate
that's
I've
okay.
had. So I will start off. The things females will do for money. Disgusting and sad. Whores must be destroyed.
Whores must be destroyed.
Yeah.
Like, does that make you feel unsafe? Or?
Not really. I guess it's just whores long. Disgusting, ugly, mid-whore. Don't you have a litter box to go clean? You're actually ugly, sorry. So these are just like a little bit of a mix of comments.
Does it bother you?
No, not really. I think everyone's going to have their opinions, especially when you have so many viewers. Like, you're always going to get some kind of negativity.
Sin begets sin. Hatred begets hatred. The reason that she's getting hate mail is because that's the way sin works. She's desensitized to that too. But you know, even the world gets it right sometimes. There's no reason that anyone should be speaking to her that way or treating her that way. That's not acceptable behavior. But it should hurt when people do that. she's hardened her heart. She's hardened her heart to the Lord, and she's hardened her heart to man. And it shows.
I wanted to ask you if you think the rise of women creating pornography on OnlyFans is linked in any way, and it may not be, and I'm not suggesting that one is the cause of the other, but is linked in any way to the grotesque discourse online about women.
100%.
Really?
Yeah. I feel like as you've seen the growth of more OnlyFans and more pornography being pushed out on social media, you've also seen a growth in these red pill men who push out very opposite views. It's, you know, it's two very extreme things.
And the red pill, for anyone who doesn't know, supposedly, I mean, it's from the film The Matrix. You choose to take the red pill.
Is that where it's from?
Yeah, and that apparently, as a man, it wakes you up to the reality of men being oppressed by women and feminists. In the manosphere, there are people who say the more you have sex, the more diminished you are.
But I think there's always been women like me who have sex. It's just the difference is now we talk about it online and we're open about it.
Lily Phillips, thank you very much for talking to us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There's no sin that's unredeemable. There's nothing here that God can't forgive. She is a lovable person. That's the way we should be treating her. Not judgment on condemnation, but love, kindness, the way Christ always treats us. She isn't making the right decisions, but we all make bad decisions. We all sin. We all do the wrong things. So, brothers and sisters, don't harden your heart to her or those like her. Help them to understand how much God loves them and wants them to repent from what they're doing. How much He wants them to see the clarity of the damage that's being done. I hope this video blesses you. Thanks for watching. God bless you. Love you all. Have a good day.